to PE with James. It's week 3, and if you're watching this video, you are on P6 and P7 at Glenboig Primary School. Okay, the past couple of weeks we've been doing some nice exercises. We're going to stick to the same format today. You're going to do your circuit involving 8 different exercises for 35 seconds with 25 seconds of rest. Before we do that, we're going to have a nice warm-up, and at the end we'll have a nice cool down. Now today's exercises are all quite explosive. So we're going to be using lots of our main big muscles. So these will be our big arm muscles, big leg muscles, and our big butt muscles too. So we need to make sure all of these things are nice and warm. You aren't going to need any equipment for this session. The only thing I always say I think you should have is some water. Now I've chosen to wear my indoor trainers today because there's a little bit of jumping involved. So if you've got some shoes that's appropriate for you to use inside the house, that's another thing that I think might be a good idea just to help protect your feet. But as usual, make sure the floor is clear of obstacles, so there's nothing too much in your way. I've tried to move as many toys as I can away out of this playroom. James Jr. is not here today, so there's no one to interrupt. You should make sure you've got a space to use and some footwear if you need it, or at least be on a soft surface, maybe the carpet if you're in bare feet or in your socks, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is go into our stretches and have a nice warm up. So I will start with this one first. We're going to take a nice deep squat. Sit all the way down into this stretch. Then we're going to push our legs out to the outside, using our elbows just to push our knees, and at the same time keeping our head up nice and straight. Spending a little bit of time in this shape before we stand up. And now I'm actually going to widen my feet really wide, and we're going to do a stretch down the back of each leg. So what we're going to do first is lean over to this side. You should feel the stretch on the inside of your leg here. Now before we move to stretch the other side, I'm going to ask you to stay low, really low, and come across to this side, stretching here, and again stay low, big stretch up the inside here. Stay low again, staying down, moving sides, big stretch up this side here. Now we're going to come back to the middle, stand up, and what I'm going to ask you to do is stick your bum backwards, making sure that your back of your legs now, which is where your hamstrings are going to be straight, and you might feel them become tense and tight. We're just going to lean forward from the waist. I'm not bending my lower back, my back is staying nice and flat. I'm leaning forward. I'm just going to put my hands down towards the floor, and we're stretching the back of our legs here. I'm going to stand up and do this again a few more times. So leaning forward, bending from the hips, not bending my back, and stand up. Lean forwards, nice big stretch, and stand up. And bring the leg back in. Now we're going to do a little bit of a different one that we haven't done with you guys before, so bear with me whilst we give it a try. How am I best pointing myself? Maybe this way. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of a lunge on the floor. I've got one knee touching the ground, and first of all, I think we've done this before, we're going to lean forwards into a big stretch. Now the next part is where I'm going to look a little bit more uncomfortable and awkward, because this is a stretch that I'm working to improve on. So this is a yoga stretch called a pigeon stretch. So what I'm going to actually do from this shape, we're going to allow, maybe bring the leg across a bit more, allow the leg to fall down to the ground and keep the leg way out behind you. So what I'm going to do in this stretch now, you should feel the stretch on one side of the outside of your leg or of your butt. I'm going to keep my body upright and sit up nice and tall, and you'll feel a big stretch. I'm going to try and come back up to that lunge. A little bit wobbly for me, like I said, I'm working on it, I'm trying to improve it. I'm going to swap the legs over. So this leg now is aiming forwards, having a nice little lean, before I then allow the leg to fall down to the side, trying to keep myself up as high as possible in this movement, also trying to keep my legs quite straight. My other leg here is pointing back as far back as it can go. I'm sitting up as high as I can. I'm trying to rest into this leg, trying to lean on it but keep my body up at the same time. You should feel a big stretch up here on one side of the butt And I'm going to come back. That lunge shape, I think I've just changed. Whoa, wobbly. I've just moved halfway across the room as I've done that. And back up to standing. That is these big areas had their first little stretch. Well, let's do a few little squats before we go into the main thing. So nice big squat and back up. This is now a little bit more, we would say, dynamic. So we're moving as we stretch, sit all the way down and back up. And we're going to do the same with lunges. We're going to sit all the way down, back up, all the way down and back up, all the way down, back up. Swap legs and do the same again. All the way down, up, all the way down, up, all the way down, up. Okay, now I need to go into the upper body for our warm-up. So I'm going to stand over in this corner and reach down towards my toes, get my hands just touching the floor, walk myself out into this plank shape. See if I can hold this for a little while. I'm holding onto my stomach muscles here, holding them tight before I drop down onto my knees. Still going to hold my stomach muscles and my back doesn't look like this, holding it tight. And I'm going to do some push-ups to try and stretch the muscles in the arms. So we'll do them slowly, down into the ground with a little pause and come back up. And again, down into the ground with a little pause, come back up quite strong. We'll try that again. I'm going to go down quite slowly. And now we're going to big power back up. Come down slowly. Big power back up. Now I'm going to put my feet down, lift my legs up, and go back into that plank shape. So what I'm going to actually do with this plank shape is hold your stomachs and actually with your hands to push your hands into the ground. Push them in as far and hard as you can push them, whilst holding on to that stomach muscles and keep pushing into the floor. You're not going anywhere, you're just pushing through the floor. Okay, last little warm-up moves. We'll go from the push-up shape and just a seated shape. Just do some simple knee raise exercises. These ones are just for warming up our middle section. So I'm going to actually to lie down on the ground. I'm going to lift my feet up into the air. I'm going to keep my hands down by my side. You might find it comfortable to put your hands underneath your back. I'll just put my hands down by my side. Extend my legs down towards the floor. Don't let them touch the floor. Bring them up, and when I get to the top, I'm going to curl into a ball as much as I can. Let them down to the ground. Bring them back up to the middle. Curl into the ball. Place them down to the ground. One last time up. Curl. And legs can go down. And you can just sit up. Okay, that was good timing for a warm-up. So, I'm going to introduce the first exercise. The same as usual, I'll introduce it in between. Maybe on the first set, it's a bit of a journey whilst we get to know them. Second set, we just carry on with them. So, the first one we're going to do is jumping lunges, which is a quick demonstration before we start the timer. You're going to be in a lunge position to start with. I'm going to lunge down, swap the legs. Lunge down, swap the legs. Then you can do that as quick or as slow as you feel comfortable. If you struggle with the jump, I would just say lunge backwards, lunge backwards. So you've got a choice. Okay, so we're ready to start. The timer is going to go on. You all know how this works by now. It's going to go green, then blue when we're working. And that's 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to lunge and jump. Lunge down and jump. Always on the way down, controlling. On the way up, fast. Control ourselves down and jump up fast. Just keep moving just like that. And if you are struggling, you can just stand and extend the leg backwards and do the lunge. But if you're okay, keep doing the jumps. Slow on the way down, jump on the way up. Last one. There it goes. Okay, next one. We've just done it in the warm-up. All we're going to do is hold a plank. Now, if holding the plank on your toes is difficult, you can just do so on your knees. Just like we did, but create the longest shape possible. You're going to have your hands far away from your knees, hold onto your stomach, and push into the ground. So that's what we're going to do in this plank. We're going to actively push. So I'm going to lift up onto my toes there, holding my stomach and pushing as hard as I can into the ground. There are different ways to do the plank, but I like doing it this way. So I'm pushing, keeping my chest as high off the ground and my hips as high off the ground whilst holding my stomach muscles. That's it, we're just holding this one. If you get tired, you can just drop down to your knees and do the same thing. Or you can switch between the two, have a little break, and then come back up. Well done. Next one, ooh, big one. I'm going to do this on my knees. I'd advise most of you to try it for the first time on your knees too. So, we've just done some push-ups. Now we're going to do explosive ones. So what I mean by that is when I'm on the way up, I'm trying to push off the ground. So this requires a big, big push. Are you ready? Slowly on the way down, big push, and catch yourself at the top. Slowly on the way down, big push, trying to get those hands off the floor. Slowly on the way down, big push, and always try and catch this, otherwise you're going to land on your face. Keep your hands out nice and spread. Slowly on the way down, big push, all the way up. Maybe time for one more. Slowly on the way down, big push. Oh, we do have time. Oh, that's the last bit. Slowly. There's your time. Okay, oh, jumping squats. We're back on jumps. I'm going to stand up. This time we were doing the squat moves before, just to here and standing. This time we're going to add a little bit of a pop. So we're going to do a little jump as we do it. So we get to here and jump. That's all we're going to do. So slow and controlled on the way down, explosion and jump on the way up. Now you could jump a bit higher than me if you like to. It's up to you. Or you can just do the normal squat if you don't feel like jumping or if it's not comfortable. So slowly on the way down, big jump, slow, big jump, and keep doing the same. It's very important that hands are at the front. In case we lose balance, I kind of keep mine tucked in, but I'm ready if I fall to catch myself in front of me. Last one. Next up, tabletop. This one's a bit of a rest if the teachers need it in particular. We did this last week, but I love the exercise. So all we're going to be doing in the tabletop is extending an arm and a leg, but this week we're going to do it as a constant repetition. We're not just going to hold it. So we're going to do one and then the other. We can put a bit of speed, there's your timer, a bit of speed into it this week. But whilst we do so, squeeze everything really tight at the top and hold on to your stomach muscles. Squeeze the stomach muscles underneath the body. So when I lift my leg, I'm squeezing those butt muscles tight. I'm pointing my fingers and my toes as much as I can. There we go, what's next? Oh, really tough one. Sorry teachers, but we just did the explosive push-up. Now we're gonna try a clap. Now this is gonna be on our knees too, because it's important to practice on our knees first. So this time in the explosion, we're gonna clap on the way up. Nothing else is different. So it's slow on the way down, but a big explosion with a clap on the way up. Just like that. Now if you are feeling confident and you think you can do a bit more, try being on your toes. It's no different. But as you'll see when I do it, you don't get as much time to do the clapping. But on your knees, it's just as effective and beneficial. Okay, hop and drop. Another jumping one. I nearly feel ready to open the windows in here. Getting warm. It was -3 when I came into this room. And that's getting very hot. So hop and drop. Stand with your hands together. We're going to jump our feet out to the side as we squat down, aim towards the floor. You don't have to touch it, just get close. Just back up, just hop and drop. Just nice and steady, like I'm saying, for all of them. Slow on the way down, an explosion, big jump on the way up. Always like to have lots of control on the way down, because it helps make your muscles really strong and gives them good endurance. So you can do your exercises and play your sports for longer. Last one. What have we got next? Last one to finish. Oh, okay. Now, last week's challenge was to do the frog stand, this balancing exercise. So I'm going to ask you to do that again, but within this time frame. If you can't do it, all I need you to do is to try for this 35 seconds. I'm going to try and stay up for the whole time, but if I fail, I'll just go back and try again. There it goes. I might have to be quiet in this so I can concentrate. My toe just keeps touching the floor to help keep me balanced. But if you're not staying up, don't worry, just keep trying. Lift one foot, do whatever you need to do. Whew. And you might have a bit of a head rush. So for a second, relax, bring your head back upright, let the blood just drain down from your head and you'll feel okay. If you do feel dizzy, just take your time, stay kneeling, have a little moment. I'm going to have a drink in a kneeling position and catch my breath before we do round two. Not leaking this week, maybe just a little bit, right? So we are going to work through the same plan again. I'm going to have to take an extra minute though, because that was hot work. My hair's getting longer and longer because we can't get a haircut these days. Not sure how long it'll get this time, but I don't like shaving it, so it's got to stay on. Right, we're going to go again whilst I talk slowly and try to bring my breathing and heart rate down. I'm going to go into the jumping lunges, which is the standing lunges. If you get tired, just go back to the normal lunges so you can chop and change. Right, the timer is going back on. You have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we'll do the jumps with lots of control to catch them. This is where we're combining speed, power, and balance, the things that we've worked on for the past couple of weeks. And also the slowing part helps someone like me. I weigh a lot, I'm very heavy, and I can't do the jumping over and over again so quickly. I have to do it in smaller amounts. Well done, last one. Just relax down to the ground. Okay, plank is number 2. So you can come down to the floor a second. Again, you've got a choice whether you do the plank on your hands or on your knees. You can be on your knees for that one, sorry, on your toes or on your knees. I'll be on my toes whilst I do it. I'm going to take every second of rest here before we start. And try and slow myself down in between. Up into the plank, holding my stomach, muscles, squeezing them tight, pushing my hands away. Trying to push my hands into this floor. They aren't going into the floor, but we're doing lots of pushing to keep ourselves upright. If you're finding it easy, it's a good one just to take a rest and slow your breathing down, because there's some hard ones coming up. There we go. Okay, next one, we're staying down towards the ground and we've got the explosive push-ups. So for these, again, on your knees, I have to do them in the full shape. I wouldn't last very long. A very tiring exercise when you do them in these circuits. So I'm just going to stay on my knees, have lots of control on the way down and a big push on the way up. Here we go, so control, push. I'm just making sure I catch it safely. So I've got a wide hand spread, wide hands. Trying to create the biggest push as I can off the floor. Nice wide hands and controlling on the way down, and a big push. Last one. Okay, we're back on jumping. This is jumping squats. It gets hot in here so fast. Whew. We have to get a hairband soon. Okay, so jumping squat is just the squat. A little pop. If you're tired, don't worry, just do the normal squats. They're perfectly good to do. You can maybe just do them a little bit quicker. Here's the beeps. Hands out in front. Little squat and a jump. It doesn't have to be the deepest squat you can do. I'm only going to halfway. And a nice little jump. It's not the biggest jump I can do. I'm just making sure I get some air time. Feet clearing the floor. Nice and steady, nice and consistent, control on the way down, and a big jump up. And that's that one, right. Tabletop, good. I need the rest of the tabletop. It's a nice one to relax a little bit more, but hold some good shapes. So I'm doing mine a bit quicker than last week. I think we just held them last week, I think we did. This week we're trying to do them a little bit faster, but still hold a really strong, straight shape. Ready? Long shape, pointing fingers and toes, squeezing the butt muscles at the back on the way up, and squeezing the stomach muscles all the time to hold a really strong, balanced shape. Well done, keep that going. Here's your beeps. Next up, we're on the clapping push-up. Ooh, tough one. Always a tough one, okay. So in our kneeling position, I'm staying on my knees. I don't want to do it in the full one. I can do them, but I don't want to do them for time. I'll stay consistent on my knees and try to get a little bit more air time and a good clap. We ready? Slow down, clap up, and try and get out of that clapping time. If you're feeling confident, we can try 2 claps. And even more confident, oh, I couldn't even quite get 3. I'll try to get a 3rd clap. There we go. Or you can just do your one. It's obviously harder to go slower on the way down when you get more claps in, but see what you can do. 1, 2, maybe even 3 claps, but I found that a struggle. Okay, hop and drop, 2 more left, and we get to cool down. It's been hot work. Always important to get that cool down at the end. Okay, hop and drop. So start stood. I just kind of hold my hands a little bit together, or have them next to each other. Doesn't really matter, I'm holding my thumb. Last big breaths. Are you ready? Hop with a drop. Just stay nice and steady, controlled on the way down. I'm trying to keep my back straight, with my shoulders and head staying up, and just getting close towards the floor. I'm not really bothered how close you get, just do what you can to make it a safe and controlled movement. We're getting some jumping in too. Here we go. Next one, frog. I'm in the frog position. So I'm going to do the same again. I encourage you to do the same. If it's very tough and you don't like it, just go and do a plank move. There's no point doing something if you're not comfortable and don't like it, so just hold the plank instead. But for everyone else, you see how much air time we can get holding this shape. So big frogs, and then we're going to lean and see if we can hold this here.
So the more I put my head closer to the ground, the more my feet can lift. If I keep my head upright, my toes go down to the ground. So if my head goes closer to the ground, my feet stay well off the floor. I'm trying to use my stomach muscles to help me out too, to stay up. I'm starting to slip a little bit, been getting a bit sweaty. Last few seconds. And there we go. I've got a towel handy, and I'll tell you what, I need it today. Super, super warm. I knew it was going to be a tough one with all that jumping. I like doing the jumping ones, but they're not always necessarily my strongest one when I'm so heavy. Right. What we're going to do is think about that challenge we just did now. I saw some great pictures of people holding that frog stand, so I wanted to offer a harder one. So the harder version, for anyone who is successful and would like to try it, there's no pressure, no need for you to try it if you don't want to, is a crow stand. Now the difference between the two is my knee goes on my arms this time, not inside. Knees going on the arms, but I do the same process. The knees resting on top of the arm, and it's just the same balance. See if you can give that a whirl this week. It's called a crow stand if you need to look it up. But the knee is on top of the arm, not inside. Okay? Very good. Oh, sorry, or outside, I think it was. Very good today, everyone. We're going to have a quick cool down, so I'm running out of time. We're going to slow down our breaths and hold a little stretch. So first, I don't know why I just swapped. Let's lunge in this position. I'm going to keep my body up nice and tall. I'm going to slow my breathing down very deliberately 3 times. Are you ready? Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. I'm going to swap sides, do the same process. These big leg muscles have had a lot of work. Are you ready? So lean forward, body staying up. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Hopefully that means you'll feel your heart rate has come right the way down. I'm going to do one more stretch and do the last bit of breathing. So I'm just going to sit back onto my knees. I'm going to push my hands forward in front of me. You might have done this in your yoga teaching or PE already. It's called a child's pose. We're just going to sit in this position and do the 3 big breaths one more time. Everyone breathe in and out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Slowly come back up to a kneeling position or seated position, however you'd like to sit right now. I'm still starting to sweat a bit more now as I cool down, but hopefully you enjoyed that today. I certainly did. It was very explosive, lots of good jumping in there. And we've just got one more week to go of PE with James. So thank you all so much for trying so hard. I've seen some wonderful pictures from your parents on social media like Twitter and things and Facebook. So thank you for everyone for doing that, and everyone who else is trying things that I can't see as well. Well done. Don't worry if the challenge this week is a step too far. Keep practicing the frog stand. It's a really good, strong skill to be able to develop. It'll help you with your balance and your thinking, being able to think through exercises, and your strength too. Hopefully you've enjoyed that again this week. Next week's the last week, and I'll see you then.